Tryst Venom by Penelope Douglas. This is a pretty popular book. I've heard about this a few times. It's always recommended for people who are looking for like really dark romances. I guess it qualifies for that. You know the trend in straight romance right now where every Kindle book is about a billionaire CEO who is secretly a mob boss, who is secretly the alpha of a werewolf pack, who kidnaps the main character, who is just some random woman, and then they develop like a Stockholm relationship, love affair, and they like the guy because he's big and strong and powerful. I don't know what I'm talking about. This is like that vibe, but for teenage lesbians. I was gonna say for kids. It is not for kids. This is an 18 plus book, but it is a steamy bully romance about these two 18-year-old girls. They start off 17 actually, and then they turn 18 over the course of the book. They both attend this fancy private school in Florida. They're both on the lacrosse team together. One girl's name is Clay. She's rich. Her dad's like a property developer or something. She has to be perfect. She's from one of the premier families of the area. You know, she's got all this pressure to be perfect and popular and pretty and to marry a man and get rich and be ruthless and have no bad gossip about her ever. And she must be straight. And then the other girl is Olivia, Liv. She's from the wrong side of the railroad tracks. Literally, the town is divided by railroad tracks, and that's the class divide. It's this physical boundary of the railroad tracks. So she's poor. She has 5 older brothers. Her parents are dead. The siblings call themselves the Tryst Six, which is where the title is comes from. I didn't know what the fuck this title meant going into this book, because that's just a collection of words. The Tryst Six are the 6 siblings of Trista Yeager, who was their mom, and then the Venom is because they're tough. They're a bunch of tough guys. This also plays into like the Kendall big, powerful, tough guy romance trope going on that I see a lot. So she has 5 older brothers. She's the youngest one, and her brothers are all like rough and tumble biker dudes, and they're all poor, and you know they kind of run shit around here, and they're a little mini gang, and they all get into fights, you know, and you don't want to cross the Tryst Six, and they have a it's so dumb. They have like a symbol that's like a snake on an hourglass, and they all have like bracelets with the symbol on it, or like tattoos, you know, because they're the Tryst Six. I absolutely did not care about any of that. There is a spin-off. This didn't surprise me at all, but I found out at the end of the book, it's like, keep reading for a sneak preview of the next book, and the next book is called 5 Brothers, and it's about the 5 brothers and their straight romances. I think one of them is bisexual, and probably the 2 lesbian female main characters of this book probably show up in that. I'm not reading the sequel. This wasn't a horrendous book. It's not terrible, but like I'm not reading a sequel about the 5 straight brothers and their straight romances and them, you know, being big, powerful, manly men and sleeping with the girls. We sort of know who the love interests are. They're other like teenage girls who are graduating from the school, who are like prissy popular girls who shouldn't be with the rough and tumble backwoods boys, but they are. So you got Liv. She's an out lesbian. She's the only out lesbian at the school, and everyone at the school bullies her for it, but they also bully her because she's poor and they're all rich, and she's going to this fancy school because she wants to go to a good college. She wants to go to Dartmouth and like get out of this town and, you know, make something of herself the way no one else in her family has, because they're all poor. The discussions of class in this are like real generic. Again, literally the railroad tracks divide them, and like literally they have just these overt discussions about being poor, and all of the poor people on the poor side of the tracks are like the gardeners and the maids and the servants of the upper class people who live on the other side of the tracks. And then there's vague plot points about like Clay's property developer dad wanting to buy up Sonoma Bay and get rid of all of the history of the land from the poor people's parts of town and gentrify it. And there's some discussion of the Tryst Six are part native, they're part Seminole, and so they've been on the land forever and they're very attached to the land. And, you know, it would be terrible for the property developers to take this sort of historic land and just build restaurants and apartments and condos and shit on it. So that's like a halfway decent idea of like a real deep discussion and like a real world problem, but like it's real shallow. It does not go beyond that. It is not explored interestingly. It is very surface level and not interesting. I didn't care about any of that. The book doesn't really make you care about any of that. The book tells you that these characters care about that, and that's about as far as it goes. That's not what you read this book for. You're really interested in the relationship between these two girls who hate each other at first and for a long while of the book. Like they bully each other. I mean, I guess Clay's really the bully because she's picking on the poor girl, and then the poor girl Olivia just sort of bites back, you know, because she's part of the Tryst Six. You can't mess with them, and she's tough, you know, she's from the tough side of the tracks. And so they sort of love to hate each other, and they get real vicious with it. Like it is not like simple bullying. Like they're like very 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 toxic to each other, which makes the romance. I mean, if you think about this book for any amount of time, it breaks down. This isn't like realistic. It's sort of very Lifetime movie-esque in a way, where everything's very dramatic and everything sort of works out great in the end. So they just bully each other basically. They're just constantly fighting in the first third or so of this book. But you kind of realize that Clay secretly has feelings for, well, women. She's very much not quite aware that she's a lesbian, but like sort of, if she thinks about it too hard, she won't realize that she is a lesbian. She's very much on the cusp of realizing that. And because Liv is a lesbian, she figures it out. Spoiler alert, she figures out that she's gay, and then these two get into a weird hate sex relationship. Again, it's very steamy. I suppose people read this just for like the fucked up sort of sex scenes, I suppose. I don't know. I read it because it's gay, and I'll read any book about gay people, and I've heard about this several times. So it's an enemies to lover, dark, steamy romance with teenagers. If you're into that, then it's like a guilty pleasure read for sure. It's not deep literature. But it's also not terrible. It's not terribly written. Again, some of the motivations are really told to you rather than shown to you. It makes you think, like, wouldn't it be bad for this land to get bought out by the developers? And you're like, yeah, but you just like don't feel the impact really. Things like that. And also some of the dialogue gets weird sometimes. Like when they're insulting each other, they like get from point A to point B in weird ways sometimes, and sometimes the conversational flow is just like inauthentic, non-genuine. Every once in a while you're like, that was kind of a weird line, or why did she say it like that? Or sometimes it's written in like a certain way to like immediately lead into a different joke or topic, or you know, they'll riff on it in some way, but you can tell like the line they riffed on was like very weirdly phrased specifically so the author could riff on it. So it's not like fantastic. It's not horrendous writing though. If this was really bad writing, it would be bad, because this is kind of a long book. This says it's 589 pages. I read it on ebook, so it's kind of hard to get a feel for how long a book is when you're reading it on ebook. This says it's 589 pages, which is really, really fucking long. It didn't feel that long. Again, it's a pretty easy read. It's pretty easy to blow through, so it doesn't feel as long as it actually is. Looking back, it does feel like they spent a lot of time being enemies before they get into the romance, and they go from enemies to hate fucking, power, domination, sexual domination, encounter, power play, I don't know, I'm just saying words, you know what I mean, into like an actual loving relationship, kind of. It is a loving relationship, sort of. I mean, if you ignore all the terrible things that happen, and the fact that they're very melodramatic teenagers who just, their emotional state is up here constantly. So like some of the realism doesn't work out, but they get cute, and they learn to love each other and get over their hatred of each other. Spoilers. I mean, it's an enemies to lovers book. I don't know what you thought was gonna happen, but it's exactly that, and that should have been what you thought was gonna happen. But it is like readable. It's a guilty pleasure. You just have to suspend your disbelief. It's a Lifetime movie. That's the way. Approach this like a Lifetime movie, and just turn off your brain. So the writing's a bit mixed. It's fine. Again, for the most part, I didn't hate this book. I read it. I was enjoying it sort of just as a entertainment value. It was a decent way to pass the time. I was reading this between rounds of Overwatch, basically. You don't need to know that, but I could pick this up and read a few pages and be like, yeah, okay, it's a story. I don't hate it. I think this was self-published actually, which is kind of cool that it was so sort of successful. I guess I'm not really the measure of success. I don't really know how actually successful this was, but it seems fairly popular. I suppose because it fills a niche. It feels like a self-published Kindle book. I don't mean that entirely in a bad way. I mean, people buy those get popular. This has 40,000 ratings on Goodreads, almost 6,000 reviews. That's pretty good, especially for a self-published book, which I think it was. And occasionally you'll see like a typo or like a weird formatting thing that makes you think, oh, this is a self-published book, which is fine. I don't hate self-published books. Probably a lot of really good ones. There's probably a lot of really bad ones. There are. I've read some. This one's pretty mid. It could definitely be worse. It could be better. But I think this fulfills a market niche of bully, dark, lesbian romances. But it definitely evokes the trend of straight romance right now. And it feels sort of like a straight romance. Not in the book, just in like the thematics, but it's quite queer. I mean, there's a lot of lesbian sex in this, I'll be honest, but I wasn't surprised at all to see a spin-off about the brothers that I did not care about at all. I don't know what to say. You guys are freaks. There's gotta be a better version of this. Like, there's gotta be better sapphic dark romance in this. I don't read a lot of dark romance, I guess. I don't know, that's not quite my thing. It's not my thing, it's just not something I seek out, I guess. I would read more. If you know more better sapphic dark romance books, let me know. I'll read that. Is it Ruby Rowe who does a lot of like fucked up vampire sex books? Am I just making shit up? I hear about that from time to time. I don't know, some of you guys are freaks. I don't know. This was okay. It was fine. It passed the time. If you're really into this niche where you just need two people who hate each other to have sex, then here you go. And you get 589 pages, so that's not bad. Good. I was gonna say good value for money. I got this for free. It was on a free Kindle deal, so for a free book it was fine. I've read way worse Kindle books, so I've read way worse traditionally published books, so this was fine. But interesting to see. I'm like doing like a market analysis of this. I'm thinking about the back end and, you know, the niche and the market gaps and the money and the need for this. I don't know. Is this something that people like? Is there a lack of this in the sapphic space? I don't know. You guys are the freaks who keep suggesting this on social media. That's what I see. So I don't know. You tell me. But also tell me why you love this, because some people like really, really, really love this book, and I'm going to assume that it's just a market gap situation where there's not a lot of books like this. Because this is like, it's kind of mid, guys. Like, it's pretty mid. Like, this isn't the greatest book of all time. There's no way. But people do really like this, so they see something in it. Maybe this just isn't my genre. Maybe I'm just not into evil billionaire CEOs. Clay does kind of become a billionaire CEO by the end. She's not a billionaire, but she does start a company. Spoilers. So I guess she does become a rich business owner, and she's kind of evil. She's not evil by the end of the book, though. Whatever. I don't know. What are your thoughts on market desaturation? Is that the word? I don't know. I have to quit. I'm just yapping now.